Hey everybody, Larry Lawton here. I got a good video for you today. This is going to be about mob protection and mob shakedowns, how they worked in my day, and I'm sure they're working the same way today. Before I get started, check us out on YouTube member programs, Patreon member programs. Please check me out on our new podcast. It's been up now a few months, 6 months maybe, and it's called The Real Deal with Larry Lawton. It's crazy, it's fun, you'll learn a lot. We get pretty deep in that. And that's on all major platforms, or Google The Real Deal with Larry Lawton. Also, please check us out on Discord. Please check our merch out, all this, the book, Gangster Redemption. All right, everybody. This video to me is gonna be pretty cool, and I'll tell you why. Because, I was talking to somebody the other day, and we were talking about how it worked, and I explained it to them in a deep way, and they said, man, you never explained that on your YouTube. Why don't you do that? Because I think people would like to know how it actually worked. It's, because it's more intricate than just, being a muscle for somebody and going up to somebody. So I'm gonna tell you a couple of ways it was done. And they're pretty interesting too. First of all, there's different things. The mob protection, and then there's the mob shakedown. Well, you got, the protection comes from when they pay. Now, there'll be an area. Now, when how protection works is, let's just say you own a store in this area, and you don't want anything to happen to you. You don't want other people to shake you down, other families to shake you down. You don't want to be robbed, because word's gonna get out real quick that, hey, all the criminals in this neighborhood know, hey man, that's a mob connected store. Don't fuck with it, because you're gonna have a lot of problems. I'll give you a little story, and it's not a good story, but it's a true story, and some of them are rough. I lived in a South Florida neighborhood. I had a bike stolen from my patio once. Okay, so I sent out guys. It was a nice bike, but how much is it worth? $500, $600 back then? And I sent a couple of my guys to the street in the back area, and I said, listen, find out who stole that bike, and you bring him to me. So, and I put a $500 reward out to get it. Trust me, for $500 for a bike, they're gonna say, hey, it was this guy, and we'll find out if it's for real. And that's it. We give the reward, and they know you're gonna pay, and that's it, and it goes up. This is no, we're loyal to each other in the street shit. Anyway, we find out who it was, and I got the guy, and I took him up, tied his hands together, and pulled him behind my car. But first he was running, and then he fell, and I dragged him down the street. Not hard, not long, not to kill somebody, obviously, just to scrape him up some. And sure it did. And let him go and said, if anybody ever robs from around here, you're gonna get killed. You rob this house, you see this address, you're gonna get killed. Sure enough, I never had anything robbed. Never even had anything looked at. In fact, one time we had some stuff on the patio that was pretty expensive stuff, and we knew people saw it, but nobody knew. Nobody thought to go rob that place, because the word got on the street, man, there's a fucking crazy fucker over there, and if you rob that place, you're gonna get in trouble. And now that's at a house. But it goes the same with a business. Businesses are a little bit different. Everybody wants a piece of your ass in business. I had a friend down here, and he had a bowling center, and some people wanted to shake him down. They call that business tax. In New York, it's a business tax, and believe me, they pay it. And now I'm going over the business part of it first. So they approach him, and they say, hey, listen, you're gonna pay this, you're gonna have problems in your place. Now, when they say there's gonna be problems in the place, that's not gonna mean to beat them up. But all of a sudden, tires are flattened in the parking lot. Everybody's tires are flat. Okay, the guy calls the cops. He don't know who did it. He don't know who he is. These guys approach me. Cops don't give a shit. And there were 10 cars. Nothing happens. They wait a few more days. They don't say anything. Pop, 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 pop. Broken window with it. All of a sudden, the guy's gonna say, man, what the fuck? And now people don't want to come back to his establishment. I don't want my tires popped every time. I don't know what's going on in this crazy place. So business goes down. The smart guy says, you know what? Fuck it, how much is it? And they don't want to kill you. They actually watch, and I say or the mob would watch a place and see how much it's making. They know, they see a lot of people coming in and out of place. It's a bowling center. Again, it's harder to do that with a corporate people. You have a corporate owned business, they don't give a shit. That's why in New York City, Donald Trump was smart enough to build the rink in Central Park, the ice skating rink in Central Park. And he did that, and he built it in 6 months when the city couldn't build it in 10 years, because the mob kept shutting that job down. And what I mean by that, things happen, they find things, things come up missing, the trucks don't come. The city's not gonna pay. And they're incompetent to begin with. Donald Trump comes in, understands how to do business in New York, and the place is done in 6 months. City couldn't do it 10 years. Got to give him a lot of credit. He understood how the system worked, obviously, as a builder, and it gets done pretty quickly. I mean, you don't have any issues with unions. You don't have any issues with trucks coming without cement. We'll go into that. And sure enough, before you know it, you got the thing done. And you know, it's really how that works in big business in New York, I'll tell you in a minute. I'm talking a little business right here in Central Florida. Well, he's a friend of mine. He told me what happened, and I knew who did it. And I said, oh, really? Okay. I went down and have a sit down with these guys, and I said, listen to me. This guy's one of my friends. I'm taking care of business there. I got things going on there. They're not going to ask you what. Is it drug dealing? Is it a bookmaking operation? What is it? Ain't going to happen. And then they didn't bother him anymore. All of a sudden, nothing is being done, and everybody knows now. Listen, this place is all right. And they know it, and the word gets out, we tried to do that here. Can't do it. You know, he hangs with Larry. Larry's a little crazy fucking. Larry's got connections. So it also happens, now that's in a private business. We're going over each stage. Then it also happens with illegal people, drug dealers, bookmakers, people who want to sell stolen goods. Those are the funny ones, because we'd steal from them. They would steal and try to sell it to people, sell it to us or whoever, or just because we're hanging out at the bar or whatever. Well, we'd end up stealing their whole fucking trunk load of shit. Find out what else they got. It didn't work. Now, how that works is, if you're a criminal and you come and pay tax, okay, you know, you make a hit and a load, and I'm not talking about just a one-time stupid criminal on the street and gets lucky. I'm talking about guys who know what they're doing. Guys who rob stores for a living, guys who rob warehouses for a living. Word gets out, and they got to get rid of stuff always, and there's too many people up the chain of command that know somebody owns something, and we're going to find out who robbed it. So any drug dealer, he's around, he thinks he could just start selling drugs on the corner in Brooklyn? Nah, it ain't happening. Even if there's nobody there, meaning there's not a guy from our crew that is doing that, we're going to want tax. You're going to get taxed for that. Or you're not, first of all, you might not sell it because they don't want it. It could be something as it's too close to John Gotti's family's house, or a good friend of his, or whatever it is. Too close to a church, or too close to something that somebody in the position they are in don't want it. And guess what? When they don't want it, it doesn't happen. So they might say, nah, nobody's going there. Nobody's allowed that. It's not a cop thing either, you know. Nobody's going to the cops. They're going to take care of themselves. Now, let's just say it's a place and the guy's making money. He's brought in, talked to the right people, says, listen to me, we've been watching you. You're selling X amount of stuff. This is the street tax. You're going to pay us $500 a week, $1,000 a week, whatever it is, depending on how big the operation gets. And if we don't come see that $1,000, I don't give a fuck what you do, we'll never see you again. And believe me, I mean, because they'll go out of business or move or get arrested. They're not with us, not anybody. They can't say anything. Even if they say, oh, we're paying him $1,000 a week to do this spot, the cop's going to say, who you paying? You don't know. He ain't going to tell. He's not going to go, oh, that. Because the cops are going to look at him, especially in New York. You shouldn't be selling fucking drugs, kid. What do you think, we're going to protect you? So that's how times work in New York with a drug dealer or a person who's stealing. We had a guy that was stealing bumpers, car bumpers. Gets caught stealing the bumper of my boss. And it was really funny because he just it was bad luck for the guy. We are up in near Stillwell Avenue in Bensonhurst. But the boss there, you know, at the bar on Kings Highway, that's known. Nobody can go there. It's not like you just walk in the place and you know everything and that's it. No. So what happens is our boss was way down at Prospect Park somewhere. So it's a ways from where we were. Well, he gets his own bumper. Back in my day, the car bumper, yes, you're looking at, what do you mean a car bumper? The car bumpers on Cadillacs were going for $2,000. You'd get your car bumper stolen, holy fuck, the car bumper, $2,000. They were all chrome, the whole thing in the front of the car, and they had a back bumper. And unbelievable, really, I mean, big time. And it weren't hard to steal. Then people actually started soldering them on, but they got through that too. But that's how big of a deal it was. Well, he gets his car bumper stolen, and here's the funny part of that. Some lady saw this kid, and he was a kid, 21, 22, stealing the bumper, didn't know anything. Nobody stops you in New York. It's amazing. But writes the license plate number of the car, or it was a car or like a truck, and just put it in the windshield when they left of the car. Hey, I saw this company or whatever it was taking your your bumper, and here was the plate number. That's it. Didn't want anything, didn't do anything. Sure enough, I get a call from Willie. He says, listen to me. You're up here. I got something for you. Blah, blah, blah. His kid took the bumper. So instead of just fucking getting the bumper back and beating the shit out of the kid or doing what you're going to do, you know, the kid was scared shit when we could. And he knew who the place was. He knew who my boss was. He knew the car even. I don't know if he knew it on the street like that, because it was way out of whack, and you know, cars are cars, especially Cadillacs in Brooklyn. So, comes in, get him, and instead of messing him up, he was scared shit. That kid was fucking gonna piss his pants. And sure enough, what we made the kid do is rob bumpers, and now we get a tax on every bumper he robbed. I mean, that's a street tax. That's shakedown, if you want to call it, but that's what it is. That's how you do it. So that's a street tax. That's another situation with a criminal. So you got drug dealers, you got regular businesses that get shaken down. Now you get, I call this the subtle shakedown. And it's done by owning everything. First of all, you get a guy who's a junkie gambler or a junkie drug guy or whatever it is. And they're gonna end up getting in debt. Guaranteed. He's betting basketball and he thinks he's gonna win. And he has a couple great wins. That's the greatest part. You know, as a bookie, and I was a pretty big bookie, I used to love when a new customer won, because you guarantees coming back. And the worst thing you can do with bookie is bet all the games or bet so much, because you lose. Guaranteed you lose. They don't build $1 billion casinos because they lose. Trust me, the odds are so heavy in their favor that they make money. They always make money. You know, the only bookmaking operation in the world that failed, and if you're from up north and you're a little older, you're gonna know what I mean. OTB, off-track betting. It was in New York City, and you can go to a store, like in a corner, they have them all over, and bet the races. Literally go and bet the races. So they're a bookie, but they're the only bookmaking operation that I've ever seen go out of business, because they're fucking so run poorly. Believe that. I don't know how they fucking goddamn went out of business. It boggles your mind, because back in my day, the horses were a big bet with the bookies as well. Also the number. The number is the lotto number today, but they had the lotto number done a whole different way. In New York, the number was, they called it the Brooklyn number, and it's the last 3 numbers of the track handle that would come out in the Daily News. The Daily News newspaper, and all the papers would put what they call the track handle. And that's how much money the track takes in and all this stuff. It'd be, you know, a zillion numbers, 9 numbers, but the last 3 of those numbers was the number. If you bet 964 and it comes out, you're a winner. Now you can combo it any way, 964, any combination that comes out, you win. And people would bet a dime on them, a nickel. In fact, you know, when the lotto come up, now people thought, oh, the state's coming out with lotteries, and so that's the number. They're gonna put bookmakers out of business. In fact, it helped business, because the state gives you 500 to 1. Now remember, it's 1,000 to 1 to hit 3 numbers. It's 1,000 combinations. State gives 500 to 1. Bookies gives 600 to 1. Think of that. So if you hit $1 on 3 numbers and they come out, you get $600 from us. Also, the state's gonna make you fill out, let's just say you hit the number big. They're gonna make you fill out a form for taxes and all this shit. Guess what happens with the mob? $100 bills. Stack of $100 bills. And we're gonna tell everybody in the world, Johnny fucking hit 964, holy shit. How did he do this shit? Everybody's gonna know we hit 964. Everybody's gonna know we had a big payout. Everyone knows we paid. But you'd have old ladies, literally old ladies, come in, put $1 down and bet nickels and just write a sheet of numbers down. And if it's on that sheet and you got it, you know, back then people had actually copy paper, carbon paper. So they'd write down their own numbers and you'd have them anyway. They'd give you that sheet, and you know, obviously, you know, anything with that sheet, and that's gold. Even before recordings. I mean, I remember when recordings came out just for bookmaking. So now we get a guy into gambling, because we're on Shakedowns. You get a guy into gambling. The guy gets caught you know, now all of a sudden he's down 5,000, 3,000, 7,000, whatever he's down. You don't start right there and say any kind of shakedown or something. You want your money. You're a bookie. He got your money. But the guy would come and say, he goes, man, I don't have the money. I'm trying to get it. I'm waiting for this. And I'm saying, what the fuck you mean you don't got my money? When you hit, I paid you. I want my fucking money. He goes, I don't know what to do now. Let's say he's a warehouse manager. Let's say he's an office manager for a company. whatever he is. Let's say he owns his own business. Those were the best. The best really were other drug dealers or gamblers or people in the shady business. Because here's what you do then. I send him to another guy who's a loan shark. Now, how loan sharking works, I'm just going to give you a quick lesson. If you borrow $1,000 from Larry, you have to give Larry $30 every Friday till the $1,000 is paid. And now $30 does not come off the principal. That $30 is the VIG, that's the juice. It's called 3 points. So every Friday he gives you $30, $30. Then 6 months, 3 months later comes by, he gives you the $1,000. Now you already been getting $30 every single Friday. In 1 month, you just made $120 on your $1,000. Well, let me tell you how I bought one of my nightclubs. Of course, the tax people, the beverage, the licensing places, the state Florida tax places will shut you down if you don't pay sales tax. Shut you down. Now, if you're a bar owner, you got to pay 6 cents for every beer that's $1. So if you have a $1 beer night, you think you're putting it all in, you better be taking 6 cents out of every one of those at night and put it away. Because if you don't, they're going to shut you down. You don't pay them their tax, they will shut you down in 2 days. Literally, come, chain the doors closed, you're out of business. They can do that. Well, you can't get to a bank that quick and get money. You know, these guys are just living on the edge. They want to get a deal. They got a boat, they got a house. They got to pay all that. Then they got to pay salaries. They got to pay everything out of that dollar. So it all comes out. What's the profit? Depends on what you get stuff for. That's why people are looking to always make deals. And bars and restaurants fail a lot. Obviously, the good ones don't. They're well managed, product, and they don't get into debt, or they do get into bed with guys like us. And when you get into bed with us, you're going to do well as far as people coming, and you're going to also do well because nobody's going to shake you down. And if you do need some money as an investor, so to speak, I mean, we're high interest, but we are your protection. So you're also being protected, so nobody else can come shake your restaurant down. So here we are. We have the guy who's a restaurant owner, and he needed $20,000 yesterday. He comes to me, Larry, I need 20 grand. You go, listen to me, you need 20 grand? Do you know what 20 grand is? Do you know how much you gotta pay me? Oh, I do, Larry, and all that kind of stuff. I go, hey, listen to me. Every single Friday, I'm gonna give you 20 grand. Every single Friday, he's gotta come and give me my money, my 3 points. Has to do that. I used to send a guy to get the money at a club, boom, $400 every Friday. He said he's gonna pay me back. He had a big event coming up, all that shit. I love that because I know it's not gonna happen. And you give him 6 months. I said, listen, I want my money in 6 months. I don't give a fuck how much $400 is. So 400 times weeks 26, 4 times 26. You're already getting your 10,000 now. You get more than half of the money that you gave him in 6 months, and he still owes you 20,000. Still owes you. Gives you that money. Now all of a sudden you say, now I want my money back. Oh, I can't. Well, you increase the points, or it gets to another guy. And you gotta remember, I'm the guy. I am the guy giving him the money, but he don't know that, even as the bookie, because he started, he knew the guy, but that's how it works. I send him another guy who works for me. He does all that and says, listen, and I tell him, listen, I'm gonna send you some guys. If you don't pay them, you're gonna have serious consequences. Never threaten. Never say I'm gonna break your legs. Never say I'm gonna fucking kill you. That's extortion then. Can't do that. Yes, it's illegal, but banks fucking do that. You see lawsuits with these companies doing it, charging outrageous interest. That's all we're doing. And you don't need the credit rating and all the bullshit they say you need in businesses. That's bullshit. We wanted the guys who were on the edge. We wanted guys who were business owners, entrepreneurs. I used to love to loan shark money to drug dealers because I knew there's only 2 ways I don't get my money. They either go to jail or they get killed. They're gonna get their product. And when they get their product, they make a ton of money. And what do? Pay you back right away. I mean, I did that more than once, and I made a lot of money. So it's about just managing it and understanding it. Now, there's a couple of ways that we should get the money back, and that's a whole nother video on how to do something. We once blew up a guy's car in his driveway, and boy, he got the message real quick. Next day, he figured out how to pay the money. You never extort openly. Obviously, you never put pressure openly when you're getting something from. Because if you do that, a guy wears a wire, then what? Then what are you gonna do? Guy gets scared, he knows who you are before you know it. The FBI says, you know, let's see how stupid Lawton is. And guy comes into your shop or where you're at, where you hang out, and you say to him, where's my fucking money? And he says, I don't have it, man. I'm sorry, but I don't have it. You go, listen to me. You don't have my fucking money, I'm gonna bury you. I'm gonna kill you tomorrow. I'll break your fucking legs. You'll wish you never fucking. It's all on tape. Guys go to prison for that. You can say there's gonna be serious consequence. What does that mean? I'm gonna sue you. I'm not gonna break your legs. I never mentioned violence. Trust me, people will know when it's violence, and they will know it quickly. So it's really important to know. So that is how you actually shake down someone. How it works in the construction business is the unions are controlled by the mob, or the company is controlled by the mob. Let's say it's a cement company. You're building a building. Well, everything's coordinated within the unions or a job. You got carpenters, you got electricians, you got cement workers, block workers, steam fitters who do the piping, all this kind of different things. Well, they all work together because you can't build a building up unless your foundation's done first, right? They put the foundation down, then all the piping goes in. Everything is really coordinated. It's a really masterful plan when you see a building go up. All of a sudden, inspection-wise, in concrete, they have a cone like this. When a cement truck comes to a job and they're gonna pour concrete, they have to pour the concrete into this cone, and they take the cone off, and it has to stay there, it has to harden at a certain speed and rate and stay formed and everything else, or they can't use that. The whole truck is rejected. The whole truck, a whole fucking cement truck. So let's say you're building a 10-story building, 20-story building. Well, they got cement trucks coming and coming. Everyone's checked, and then they pour their concrete and go, refill. What happens if every other truck is rejected? Every other truck has a bad load, or every third truck has a bad load. Can't finish the job. Couldn't finish, got to go back to the place, get more concrete, and now look, we have the whole job up. Now, the reason why that's important is now then other workers can't work. Before you know it, the job is stalled. Now, the reason they really pay up in New York City, let's say they're building a $300 million building, and it's an apartment building or condos. They already sold those condos before they even built the place. Now, they promised the people, hey, you're gonna be able to move in January 1st. Well, if you're not ready by January 1st, the people want their money back. It's all contracted and everything else. You have to give a percentage. So what happens is a bank or whatever it will who loses money from people, and it's all coordinated, they're gonna start fining this company, this construction company. It's gonna cost you $5,000 a day every day you're late from January 1st. Every day, because you gotta cover my cost. You gotta cover the bank's cost. You gotta cover all the costs it's gonna cost this thing. And they don't wanna hear the weather was bad, the fucking, this shit. Obviously, there'll be causes for natural disasters and stuff like that. Got to get that fucking job done. So that owner, that fucking company who owns the building, goes to the construction owner, or goes to that union, or goes to the concrete owner and says, listen, I need it. What's it costing me? You ain't paying him. That's a shakedown. You're not paying him. Hey, listen, I need $2,000 a week. I need $3,000 a week. Every week, $3,000. And I'm gonna be out of your hair. And fucking this guy, and all of a sudden every truck is perfect because they don't have the slowdown in motion, and everything's coordinated, so everybody gets paid. It's shakedown money. In fact, in New York City, they add 20% of cost on for shakedowns. They don't call it shakedowns, but that's what they do. Literally give everybody every bid. If you don't do that in New York, you're gonna lose money, and before you know it, you're out of business. So that's how shakedowns go at work, and that's how protection. By protecting is we're involved, you pay the juice or whatever, the protection money, nobody's gonna fuck with your business. Because if they do, we're gonna find out who it is, and we're gonna take care of it, and you're gonna get your shit back, and it'll never happen again. But usually it doesn't happen, because people in the neighborhoods know. That's a protected store. So that's how protection works, that's how shakedowns work. It's not as you walk in and, I'll kill you, motherfucker, you better pay me $300 a week. No, you send a kid to break windows, you send a kid to give flats. You do something like that, before you know it, the guy says, I gotta fucking pay. I gotta pay. And that's exactly how that works. So I hope you learned something today. I hope you like what I do. Please hit that notification button. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Tell a friend. We're doing great things. Reality check program's really getting off the ground. We got a lot coming. Please stay safe out there. Make good choices. Learn from me. Don't ever follow my past bad way. Have a great day, everybody. Stay tuned for our next video.